Dear viewers, apne anke swagat kori ase Nagaland TV laga Awaaz laga notun ekta episode te. Ami Imlisenla Imchen ase aro itia ami logot boina ase. Yeti raite JEVI KINNI HESSO President Nagaland Students Union Guwahati aro yeti left boigna thakato TOKIVI ACHUMI Assembly Speaker Nagaland Students Union. Ajila topic to ekta simple topic ase hoilbi beshi complicated thagala ekta topic ase. Topic laga naam to ase educational system in Nagaland pre and post pandemic. Ami anti joniati boikna itula topic oporte discuss koribo aro apni anke ini nurukigina continuously itu episode side bili mon ase. Ita mon sawal question round start koribo. Yati ami an laga Assembly Speaker Nagaland Students Union Guwahati logot ekta itu laga introduction laga sawal uthibuli mon ase. Education koina mon ase aro mon tijon yadi boigna thanu mon sab educated ase. To education no kiman zaruri ase aro kiman tak ekta ki kobo ekta dangor tool ase apni la life te bi.
So education is a vital component of an individual's development. Aro like koi thakaishna iduhi mange kiko education is the first thing like that molds us, like manla potential khan idu raw potential khan idu sai nahi mange like in future days man ki homon jese like through education like education na thagle manla potential thagle if we don't have the education then manla potential ki se idu achieve kona paro. So that's how I put forward.
Acha modern technology to introduce Nagaland ti kurado Christian missionaries kan ba introduce krishe 1830s te aro itu aste develop hoikina Nagaland porta jaise aro itu baraikna jado amian British government kan pra baraikna jaise aro independence pa pichite Nagaland la independence pa pichite education to developed hoikina aro extend hoikina jaise state te aro 1963 te state Nagaland to full-fledged state Nagaland government of India pra pa pichete hi amikan education to barawa di kina jaise to itu laga oporte JEVI abe ki kobo amikan education enaga barai kana jai kana amikan itia yati boigna thaka do apni la opinion ki ase.
And now sticking to your question, I'm so proud for how far we have come. But to be precise, to be honest, no matter how good we are, we can always be better, says the quote. So, as mentioned, I am so proud of how far we have come educationally. But as mentioned, I think we need to improvise many more in our education system.
Kwanishna education to bishi dangor tool ase aro itu man ke knowledge, wisdom aro sukubi khuli dikina jaya se amkan. To amikan education ekta student noli ekta bacha do iman sal purigna he aro amikan itu tai prepare kurigna ha aro tai lesson pura itu kan de ekta preparation dia to itu laga century tibi tai laga hatte noli tai la jivan de ki importance ekta de TOKIVI apni right laga topic tek pa janai dibo.
Ek question repeat kaso.
How does it prepare one for the needs of this century? Itu topic, itu la question te.
Like I've already said, like education is a very vital component in shaping the individual for its own growth. Like koi thakaishna, it's only through education we're getting wisdom, knowledge. Aro man education na thagle bi manna potential kiman thagle if we don't have education then it's of no use. Idu utilize kona pare manna potential do aro manuvi koi thakaishna you might have the potential of for doing anything, but if you're not educated then people don't regard you as one.
JEVI apni babi to laga question te ki gobo.
Can you please repeat the question?
How does it fully prepare a person for the needs or to fulfill the needs of this century?
You know, education is the backbone of the nation, I should say. So while educating the youngsters or while educating the students, what they need to realize is that they are not educating the students nor they are educating any individual, but they are building the nation. So in order to build a nation, I think everyone, when I say everyone, be it the proprietors, the teachers, the students, and the parents as well. Everyone need to be cautious when they are building the nation.
To man building a nation, to education pura manukan pra ekta nation barawa kura time te ki issues education ba face kore na.
Education, you see, I've mentioned in my first answer. No matter how good we are, we can always be better. Sticking to that, I'm so proud of how far we have come, but we are yet to improvise. When I say improvise, I mean this, you know, we lack practical. Let me just break it into a very simple and best example, I should say. There is a chapter in a book called Riding a Motorcycle. So in that chapter, one student may excel and scored 100 out of 100. But what if in actual given him a motorbike and he could not ride? What's the use of that? So what I mean to say is, not only theory, I think we need to stick on practical as well. Yeah, that's what I mean to say.
TOKIVI apni babe ni education laga education word or education digna ha aroman ba purigna ha te ki issues face kurina ha te janai dibo.
See, the thing is like education system in India does not have an holistic outlook. We are given like sole priority, like sole aim to getting a high score power like exam, and then that become the cutthroat competition between the students, and then to in a nation building we need education. We should focus more on the practical theory. Practical theory like at the same time student can like skills can like tell a future that's gonna which is gonna help him in his future workplace by utilizing giving enhancing his what do I say employability. Like the education system presently man ki ase itela khota koile do man student kan magiri question like higher scoring up like na to itu competition di man like we are so lost in that competition that extracurricular activities alag thaka khan man ta neglect kuri do neglect kuri na man personal growth ki benefit thakole thaka do itu man do we outlook that and then focus more on the theory like the education system do koi like we are more focused on the theoretical examination practically we are like lacking behind.
TOKIVI apni ba konishna asa se ini ami bi ini school de chaignan ga pura start hoina a time de ami kan to mostly one focus korea do marks aro lesson puribi lesson purana kole lati khabo aro lesson purana kole fail hobo laga fear do khusi jaisena aro listen no poile itu hoi jabo timing de thik lesson purana kole mark khabole ase ama babala hat pra homework kurana kole itu hobo to iman timing ba berabuli ja nolibi pacha time de enga hoi jaise hide and seek khilbil jabole nolibi swing de bohi bole etu kan sabte bhoi lagi jai thakise because parental pressure aro ni ki kobo itu time laga itu time de ami kan ni bhoi lagi bli de ekta do school lesson purana kule nolibi marks phau ba pa nai kule apni dongor manu ekta nhobo nolibi life te success nhobo itu lado thaki kinai se apni ba thik koise itu. Moving on to the next question, itu sawal ekta ase ki kobo. What are the different improving systems for school management? Apni ba koa nishna marks stay focus kore, curriculum, extra curriculum activities stay focus nokurna hai to itya takte itu 21st century takte different improving systems schools can implement kurna do ki hoina thakibo na?
E-learning. Aro Ajikali do like most of the school they have what do I say smart classroom. So like ininga ho jado experience thaki jai na like man bi jana puri se holi bi like man do like puila do book te class aina pure ki ho asin na but then like these days like any like if you are studying on some certain chapter then movie dikha se itlo opodi na itlo opodi movie dikha se to movie dikha se gule to man bi like man ba sa aro pura do alag thaki ja ek bar saile do man bi ni ya thaki ja and then like man bi itle sapabi like we learn na.
Yes.
So those are the thing like bishi changes to ase holibi like these are something like ekdam like drastic change inga call
JEVI apni la opinion holibi apni bra saigna notice korna do ki hobo.
Yeah, as well as my speaker have mentioned, the very well exceptional is e-learning and smart classes, obviously. But other than that, I was so fortunate that I was raised in a good school, I should say. But looking back to those days of our same batchmate from other schools, they would enter into a classroom where bench and desks would not be available. So comparing to those as of now, now we have smart classes. Now I'm so glad that not only theory but they are focusing on practical as well. When I say practical, subject ki la se itula video dikha se, itula visualize dikha se, so they are learning more and more. So yeah, that's the improvement we are seeing, and we are so much grateful for that, I should say.
Acha to lockdown ahi kina ami kan ke iman biaba effect kurise na ghor bhar bra bi ola boli na pare itrati bi jabli na pare thik time te kam kurli na pare khuna aise to lockdown to ini nightmare nishna ekta isna students laga life te bi to youth kan aro educated pala kan bishi effect hoina isna to apni la opinion bi tadi ki thakibo.
See, lockdown time the student lives can do bishi effect hoina like manla kinga ko educational life to bishi effect hoina ki kani ki eniga say like lockdown hagi man school di jase we are getting to learn something. Only lockdown job we are already confined in one room and then bahar ulao na pare to inga jado shikasun only like manla dimag kan alag jaga jai na like focus ko na pare aru inga jado like kinga student kan la life be like mentally be man disturb hoina isna aru man la salbi waste wishe kumba do like koi thaka isna manu kan do if lockdown na thakile do this year graduate ho jawle thaka ite graduate no hoina to inga like man la life be like manu la piche ho jishina lockdown kani
JEVI apni bi ki thakiba apni la side pra.
From the student perspective, everyone is affected and everyone has suffered dearly. It's not only student but even the parents, the teacher as well, everyone suffered. You know, for instances, because of lockdown, we are bound to have online classes. For example, there are teachers who are not very much aware about the technologies, the social medias. Some they even shy away from the cameras, to be honest, to even teach us. And forget about us. For the primary students, for class 4 and below, I should say, who should be spoon feeding by the teachers, it is now all work of the parents and the elders, I should say. So every one of us has suffered very dearly in this case.
To lockdown te apni an laga ini organization nalbi students body de ki effect aise apni jin bi TOKIVI apni ba ko
student organization
ini personal saval ekta uthas na
so like man be like puila man kam kura kan so ko para na ki kani like as a union body and then man ite to Guwahati ri ase to like koi thaka isna man be help ko munjali isi jaga de help ko na para kan people were calling us like ininga help lage ase holi man be paratak to kure ase holi like due to lockdown bahadi ulao na pare kite odo curfew impose koriche inga jado man be like kinga ko like student man ini plan thaka kan be like kibo organize kro ko na like say career guidance any seminar type is organize kro ko libi na para hoise holi like it means na like in different way.
JEVI babi ki experience ko na ishe lockdown te.
Yeah, for me as a president, the whole responsibility was onto me, and actually for me it made me and our executives a better leader, I should say, because you know, like as our speaker have mentioned, we could not organize any program, be it annual social meet, be it career guidance. And when every one of us meet, that's a sports week, we could not even do that. We could not organize any event which we gather, but rather we came up with an innovative idea during lockdown time, during this pandemic period. And what we discussed was that we would rather have a COVID task force team. That's a very challenging task for us, and with that we included medical students headed by the doctors stationed in Guwahati, and we took care and we look after the students who was affected or suffered from COVID-19. Not only the students, but there are many parents settled here in Guwahati, so we took the whole responsibility on that. There were many death cases, so when at its peak, when the dead bodies cannot be shifted from Guwahati to from one state to another, they have to bury here. We took the responsibility of all those, like it was very much challenging. And as I've said, as an organization, it made us a better leader, I should say.
ঠিক আছে dear viewers আমি kan etu episode laga olop break loibo acha man boase KVJini HESSO president Naga Students Union Guwahati aro TOKIVI ACHUMI assembly speaker Naga Students Union Guwahati logote etu break pichite aro bi interesting topics kan discuss korule ase norkina apnyanke sai thakibi.
Nagaland TV. Top Manukin Nagaland TV. Hello and welcome to Nagaland TV. Let's look at the top stories for now.
Nagaland TV, Sop Manulaga Awaaz. Watch us live on Jio TV and on your television sets as well. For Dimapur viewers, we are on channel number 10 in Global Chapter, and for Kohima and Mokokchung viewers, switch to channel number 138 on Hornbill Digital. For all news and updates, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and Twitter.
Welcome back viewers to Nagaland TV Awaaz. Ami logot ase JEVI KINNI HESSO president Naga Students Union Guwahati aro TOKIVI ACHUMI assembly speaker Naga Students Union Guwahati. Ami kan discuss kuri takshe education system in Nagaland pre and post pandemic te aro iman bhalba discussion kurikna jaigina ahishe. Itia aro itu episode ke start kurina aro resume kurikina next question day jabo tension ke iman interesting bra aro bhal bra sawal digna aro tension la opinions can share kuna nimite dhanyabad janai dia ase. So moving on to the next question, ekta interesting and ekta complicated question ase. So what were the different level of changes and challenges for primary, middle, secondary, higher secondary and university level students during this pandemic time? TOKIVI apni koi dibo. So what were the different levels of changes and challenges faced by kikowani students na, but then primary, middle, secondary, higher secondary aro university level students kan alag tan laga level de ki changes aro challenges face hushe itu apni la side pa jani bole mon ase
koi ta kanchina sob njon level wa na problem to sob face kushe like primary level kan dido koi ta kanchina itedo like sob teachers kan bai like ekdom spoon fit korna thakole time itu time di thaka time dio like lockdown hoise she tinga hodo tan kani problem ho jaye ar kide hodo like online learning do koi ta kanchina parents kami pura time do diona paro
asa
to ininga problem aro like koi ta kanchina like asti like it lagi the primary, junior and university like levels of be like jonjola level de like koi ta kanchina kumba do online learning dido koi ta kanchina bishi time lage it consume more time like campus class se do online class we need more time on that aro time consuming koi ta kanchina aro workload be offline class se do online classes time di workload bishi se student kani na examination kan kani bi like problem ho jaye
ठीक है जेवी अपनी ला ओपिनियन नली अपनी बरा साइगना हाना स्टूडेंट्स कान तान की challenges और changes कान face हुए इतु एक बार जनाई दिबी
अच्छा let me focus on this COVID situation everyone suffered dearly, and some up to the extent they even lost their year. But to make it well appropriate, I think for college students and university students, they didn't suffer much, because for them as well, they know how to read and write. It's time for them to self-prepare. So they were preparing themselves and they were waiting for exam. Exceptional that some of these university and college students, they lost the year. That's an exceptional. But other than that, it was not so much hampered to them. But as mentioned earlier, for primary and middle class students, when it's time for them to spoon feed, I think they were like back home, and it was the parents who suffered a lot along with the students. So yeah, that's the situation which I analyzed.
Itu pandemic time de ekta meme de dekha do 2020 to 2021 batch kan itu job te apply na kuribili laga ekta meme bi dekhna. To maybe lockdown to ini ki khobo bhabi sabi ini physical classes te jai kina ai thaki kina achanak online classes ekta te shift hoise aro meme tak pabe kwasna, so they are not eligible for that post or they are not eligible for that job. So lockdown pra iman beshi impact hoise koina apni jinma bhalba janai dishe na. Thanks. Aro moving on to the next question. Pandemic pra one discuss korina anishina online mote transfer hoise studies kan, learning methods, everything. Aro technology bi tadi ki kobo implement korina ahise. Aro teachers, students kan tadi blend korina online pra learn kori ase, shika bi shika ase. To tadi kinaka students or teachers te impact korina ahise na. JEVI bro ko.
I think, as I mentioned earlier, it was very much difficult. Of course, with the passing of time or with the moving of time, somehow we have to accept the new truth. But at the beginning, as I've mentioned, there are not so many teachers who are very well acquainted with these social medias and technologies. And for some teachers, they even shy away to face the cameras, to be honest. So it was a very hampering situation for the teachers. And for the students, you know, like we usually what other people face the most, you know, like hectic problem was that since it's online class, they need a very good networking. But we lack a very good network in many of the areas or localities, I should say. And when there should be online class of 60 students, there were hardly 10 to 15 students, I should say. So with this pandemic, I think the quality education has been reduced. That's what I should say.
TOKIVI apni la thek pi ki thaki bo itu laga sawal de.
Supplementing to what the Mr. President has said, like movie, due to generation gap, phone can be like so many use kona pare. Aro like sudden change, ek bawa like physical classes can be jena shikai thaki na online ahi jado teachers can be bishi problem face hoise. And then time be like slowly they were learning. At the same time like student can do like man do lop to like techno freak hoise. Time ge do lop man advance hoise. To man do lop to ini edu ki ko edu ge do grab ko parje. Only teachers can be koi dakhas na so enjoy jala betul ase. Time be like they were learning. Aro at the same time like student can be learn ko ase. Aro network connection. Aro koi dakhas na so be like phone nai, only like so logo bi phone nai, aru kumba do online class setting ko mun jese phone nai na, it kani bi online class setting ko na parabi like manu bishi like because of this lockdown students can bishi like they were deprived for education, like education na pa kami bishi je like tan bi like puro mun jese only bi like na pare weak network connection aru phone khan nai kudiwa na pare aru kumba jaga de do like Nagaland division ne boto khani kumba do mountain du thina classes lagna network connection tadi bala kani teachers kamba like nga jena tadi na man duk paise na to ani idiko
itu online mode transfer kori kina network issues to ekta bishi problem hoi jaise na, to network chamula olai kina mula sati ekta ba koi thakise tan bi ekta organization ekta de ase to man mukok chung de jai kina Airtel laga office tak bi bon koi dia tai na koi kina ase because network iman bia hoi jai kina kitab puri bole noili bi online bai book kan nai sources nai online ba sabole noili ek party ba time pass kori bole itu tak bi na thaki na kusa uthi kina jai kina tan organization pra Airtel office no libi alak telecom network services kan laga office bond kori dia laga hani tak pe olai na ase and rightly said na network issue itman chamla hobra students kan iman chamla de phasi na mountain tak tibi jado itunishna ekta kadam la do education is a powerful tool na tate step by step network hobby book bi hobby no libi alak material sources and different reliable sources kan takanai kole education ekta public ta na se koina itu lockdown pa dikhai dise na ami kan sob ke to moving on to the next question enka iman beshi chambala olaigna lockdown ba yati tati na kuri dina tha bamte parents laga reaction kan ki thakise na JV apni la side pa bi ki hobo
Yeah, I have mentioned earlier, everyone suffered dearly, but it was the parents who suffered the most. Yeah, let me break through this. You know, sab ama baba to thaga manun hoite. For some, they are farmers. For some, they are daily wage earners. So for farmers and daily wage earners, they couldn't even do that because of this pandemic. To online class to phone rala se no shigole laptop rala se to buy smartphone and laptop. It's another problem again for them. So, sticking to your question, I think the parents, they have suffered dearly financially as well. Yeah, that's what I should say.
Thank you, JV. TOKIVI abni laga ini esab tibi iman organization student body kan deal kurna ise to parents kan noli abni laga juniors kan laga ama baba kan pra problems face kura kan itu pandemic time te kwa laga anu yakno ba amian la viewers kan ke janai diba.
Parents can be like she hectic thakise na etu time dido ki karne koi daga student can be they're learning from home at the same time like parents, some of the parents, they are doing work from home na to student ke focus on jola bacha ke focus kro na jola kam di focus kro initial situation ni bisha jishi koi daga na phone bacha pasta se na to phone pasta nai to etu karne na ama baba can be like mentally physically like tan be ekdam bapna can be like tan be like mental health tanla mental health can be bishi effect kurina na aro tanna bacha kan puro na par leking ho jawo manna piche ho je leking ho jawo na edu inchna situation bi tan bi face man like ama baba kan do man ekta bapna ko daga ka do ama baba na they are doing triple na double of that to any type na aro bacha kan education dio na par na para ho je leking ho na it can be like tan be like they fought the battle I just look normal so I hope sob settle just
yes TOKIVI rightly said it pandemic ba iman effect hoise but then pandemic to khotam hoigna naga ha samete I hope that everything positive te hoi jabo aro stable situation de ai jabo kaina umid rakhi ase. Moving on to the next question, literacy rate of Nagaland according to census 2021 te 79.55% te thakise aro India te 15th position te khara kore ase. To what do you think that Nagaland would have a good education system aro by chance ase or nai koilibi strengths aro weaknesses ki ase JV?
See, Nagaland education system, I've mentioned, I'm proud of how far we have come. It's not an easy battle or it's not an easy road, so I appreciate that, but we need to go through a lot. Forget about the cities or town levels in our area. Let me just stick to the village areas. You know, we lack social education. Let's forget about this bookish knowledge or school education, but we lack the social education. So I think the Article 21A of the Indian Constitution clearly mentioned it's a fundamental right. The children of between 6 to 14 years could have a free and compulsory education. Free and compulsory education, that's what they have mentioned. So when we analyze that from 6 to 14 years, it's an 8 years of gap. So between this age of 8 years, I think by least they could complete at least up to 4 to class 6. So you know, like why am I saying this relating to the relating to our literacy rate is that the students who are getting education with the rights of the government, I think I should say that they are partiality on their part as well, because when the constitution had clearly mentioned right to education, free education, they have mentioned free education. I somewhere came across the government school, I don't know about the higher education, but for this primary, for the age of 6 to 14 years, which should be free and compulsory education, I noticed that they have been taking school fees and admission and sports, library, whatever. I was so shocked on that. So yeah, sticking to our ratio, yeah, it's somehow exceptional. It's doing fine, but when it's doing fine, we see corruption in that as well. Yeah, that's what I mean to say.
So, Toki apni babe ki stand diwa itu laga oporte the weaknesses, the strengths of education system in Nagaland.
See, according to me, what I feel is like man bishi kif kona je. Like mahan poila ki thakisha ite ki ise like education field di holebi man bishi age hoise na. Nolebi at the same time age debi koi she man la education system does not provide a holistic outlook na. Aro कोई दांच ना मान दो सब क्या को एकदम theoretically examination नॉले theories खंडी focus है practically दो मान तारी focus न करे extra curriculum focus न करे और मान ला education system तो क्या है like we are so degree oriented ना and we don't discuss on a topic like sex education, mental health illness, which is indispensable to the contemporary world we are in ना तो it खंडी focus करो लगे ना और कोई दांच ना student kanye tanje like equip kurina tana future kanina taila kam di taila like workplace di tai kani kamai holila na like equip them like enhancing their what do I say employability na inga kuna like kiko ini education aro man la life to it goes hand in hand na man ki learn kore to future di to practice ko lagi na to ini inga ko
break na jaake te aru ekta sawal te man stick karibo. Every child deserves adequate education. So when it comes to literacy rate in Nagaland, apni laga move pe ki thakibo na same related ase holibi moi question to bhangi deise to ki apni laga stand ki thakibo. Acha, every child deserves adequate education na to literacy rate in Nagaland te apni la move pe ki thakibo.
Like article 21A 21A says like free and compulsory education for all the people na to tadiro free and compulsory education na from 6 to 14 years 14 years tak to free and compulsory education thakibo lage holebi like after that paina na pa education na tange do literate to hisab ko dibo pare holebi itu lage tan jabo prashna parne na itu question do we can ask that na like if they went beyond that tan do itu chiri like school jabo goli pusa do lage do ini like nobody is going to give you free education na ini itu kane ek baro question.
Acha, every child deserves adequate education. So when it comes to literacy rate in Nagaland, ki ase itu
literacy rate koi thang isna like sati kan ki logo school di purina ha kan bishi drop out ise do le tangi we literate sab kore do ale tan la education qualification kan do like manula di opon apun choli do and then like ini ho jado kinga ko age jaw na paro jana ini literacy rate ise le mani do implement koro pares na man ki hikai na se no le kan use koro pares na itu is
so JEVI itula question te apni ba ini itu previous question dibi bishi koi na she based on this question na but then itula question sawal the best kori na ki laga move loile bhal ase apni la bhapna hisab te.
Acha, sticking to my previous article which is article 21A free right to free and compulsory education for the age of 6 to 14 actually we only stick on that but when we look into this article in detail you know there is some specific line which also known as right to education bill. I think many of us we are not aware of that, so for those listening to this it is very essential you need to listen to this carefully. Right to education bill, when we stick on that, you know, like it says for the private sectors, they should own 25% reservation for the least privileged students. So if the school is occupied with 1,000 students, there should be 250 students for the least privileged students. And let me be just direct. When we say least privileged students, it does not mean their relatives or your relatives. It really means that those of parents, for those, the both parents who does not earn, very least privileged students. So they should have 25% reservation for those least privileged students. It is very interesting that in the article itself, it has mentioned that the 25% reservation done by the private school, it will be re-endorsed by the government again. So we are not very much well educated, as I've said. We are only literate, not educated. So sticking to my point, we need to be educated rather than focusing on literacy rate. Yeah, that's what I mean to say.
Thank you. Dear viewers, আমি কান লগত জয়েন কৰিকনা আছে টকিভি আচুমি এসেম্বলি স্পিকাৰ নাগা ষ্টুডেণ্টছ ইউনিয়ন গুৱাহাটী আৰু জেভি কিনিমি হেছো প্ৰেসিডেন্ট নাগা ষ্টুডেণ্টছ ইউনিয়ন গুৱাহাটী তেনজন বয়কনা ডিসকাস কৰিনা হাতো এডুকেশন system in Nagaland pre and post pandemic te to itu laga topic te elaborate kurikina covid pandemic laga impacts kan aro itu laga impact to kinaga teacher aro student aro parents kan te effect hoise aro itu lockdown thakya pra students can confined hui jai she ekta room te noilbi itu laga environment te tan confined hui jai kena bookish knowledge noilbi tan phone de technology de probably ola ase itu laga itu khande discuss kori kena aise aro next time ami kan discuss korna to article 21A te discuss korise to ami kan logo itia break ekta lowo amnian one ki continuously sai thakibi Nagaland Awaaz te
Moi se commuter nung di with my camera person charging room.
Moi ase kele zolte to.
Reporting for Nltv Sangamayor.
Watch Nagaland TV.
Ami as a reporter Rapinthang.
Welcome to Nagaland TV Imlisenla Awaaz.
Nagaland TV Imlisenla Awaaz.
Mara Machumi with camera person Benang Sanat for Nltv.
Nagaland TV Imlisenla Awaaz.
Do you dream to become a reporter or want to be a news anchor?
Your dreams can be a reality now.
grab the chance to serve your state as a journalist
Send your CV to cvdy365@gmail.com.
Call us at 7099033602.
Join the fastest growing news network of Nagaland.
Keep watching Nagaland TV. Imlisenla Awaaz.
Welcome back dear viewers to Nagaland TV Awaaz. Ami kan lo join korina ase KINNI HESSO President Naga Students Union Guwahati aro yati boina thakato TOKIVI ACHUMI Assembly Speaker Naga Students Union Guwahati. Ami kan yati boikina itu educational system in Nagaland pre and post pandemic te discuss korina ise iman elaborate topics aro personal reactions personal thoughts bapna kan de choi kina ise aro tension ba iman knowledge tension na bapna kan share korna hanimite dhanyabad itia iman elaborate nokrina ini direct sawal ekta de jai jabo itu sawal ase what role do you think government should play in education to TOKIVI apni laga stand nali apna bapna ki thakibo government ba ki kadam loile bhal ase to education te
moi any like for me magiri kushi like education system to bishi it's like so outdated as bishi like outdated pedagogy and then bishi exam di focus kore na aro changes to like we need a lot in education di na aro koi thakon na student kan you like let them enjoy learning na like al chiwa ni learn kore sa kan learn na kuna na any educational environment ekta na aro teachers kan holibi like teachers can live ekta say like backdoor re point kore kun eligible ase it khange di kun student khange balwa shikawo nole kun ta hange like agelo job ro it khange nage chances divina aro yeah over to you
तो जेवी अपनी लाकी थॉट्स नलिबे की होइले ভাল হবো নাগাল্যান্ড এডুকেশন তো
Actually, I'm not advisor to education, but this question, it's very nice question, I should say. You know, as we all know that, and as I've mentioned earlier, education, it is the backbone of the nation. So every one of us should be solely responsible for this. But the core responsibility should be of the government, because they are building the nation through this education. When I say government, I want them to be very strict on this matter. When I say strict, the first thing, it should be proxy. You know, we are not getting quality education. Number one factor is of this proxy system. So the government should be very strict on this. You know, like let me give an example. There are many government teachers who keep the proxy instead, and you know, like they pay very less to those of their proxies, and they teach in other private colleges or schools as well. Isn't that so funny? That's how we are living in this situation. Let me also give an example that some teachers, for the excuse of working in other organization, be it in church organization, be it in union organization, because of those excuses, they left behind their work. You see, isn't it so funny, like people leave their own work and tend to do other works when their work should be done by themselves. No, so when I say strict of the government, I think what hampering us is because of this proxy system. So we need to remove this proxy system. The government should play a very vital role on that. The other rule should be the one person, one job. You know, I've encountered some people holding 2 teacher posts at the same time. They are at different places. You know, the central government had made it clear, one person, one vote. We have discussed even in unemployment topic. But you see, when people are serious about one person, one vote, when people are serious about the unemployment crisis, there are some people who are holding 2 to 3 posts, just, you know, they are holding a 2 to 3 posts of teachers or just say lecturers. So I think we should stop all this. And to stop this, it will be possible only when government implement a very strict rule that no proxy system should be implemented, and one person, one job or one teacher job should be implemented by our government. If we come up to that, it's an exceptional that the quality education will come up to its existence. Yeah, that's what I believe.
Dear viewers, apni khan ba saigina aro hunigina aise education pra suku khuli de adam aro if laga time dibra Genesis book chapter de likhina thakan nishna isor ba nakhabi koise apple to hliwi tainjen ba khaise aro itu apple khaikina suku khuli jaise tainjen bal bia ki ase tainjen jani jaise itu nishna aji moniati Nagaland TV Awaaz te KV KINNI HESSO president Naga Students Union Guwahati aro TOKIVI ACHUMI assembly speaker Naga Students Union Guwahati aikina knowledge laga oporte iman dangor jankari dikina khota phatikna aise to tainjen ba koigina aro ami khan ba discuss kurigina khanto ekta potential ase na education thakile sob khurli pare aro takat de itu prana manuke awaz uthabli bi hobi awaz kitia time de kobole ase nokobole ase aro bal kam kura bhal kam nokura itu thik ase itu thik no hoy itu khan sob te education pra suku khuli de aro ami khan ke jankari de koina man discuss kurigina aise aro itu time te 2020 March pra loikina lockdown covid pandemic thakar karon lockdown hoikina aise tati bi discuss kurise full emphasis kurikina tainjin pa iman bhalba jankari digina aise aro tati discuss kurikina aikina article 21A te free and compulsory education te bachit kurikina aise tati tainjin ba kwainishna social education kan be important ase aro bookish knowledge nohoi holbi society te participate kora aro marks te focus nokra laga education ekta lage koina ami kan discuss kurigna aise aro tate education to government ba implement kurigna ha aro Nagaland te thaka to bishi outdated huise koina it be budget kurigna aise aji laga topic aro aji laga budget thaka ba manla viewers kan bi jankari paise aro